Hey everybody, Jeremy from Follow Me Leadership, and I want to talk to you today about an issue that I think plagues managers at many different companies of all sizes, but especially in larger corporations. This revolves around the complaint from management that they don't have the ability or the power and authority to give raises and promotions to their subordinates. They don't feel like they feel like they can't reward their team when they do well. Often you'll hear management say things like everything has to go through corporate, and that some companies that have a large HR department, but it might be outsourced, and so it's a third party that's actually dealing with processing promotions and raises. But sometimes those decisions are basically put in stone, given a certain set of parameters, and then they just let the computer decide or let that third party HR department decide. So this is something that if you find you're in this position, you're not alone. So how do we find a solution then in a world of big corporate management where systems are sometimes outsourced and we have third parties involved in making decisions, and sometimes a lot of these things are mandated by policies created several layers up the chain, and it's just nothing you can do to change that. And I think that's the first thing to do, is to identify that you may not be able to just change it because you don't like how it works. That's the first thing you should do, and be honest with yourself, your employees, and say, all right, here's the system we live in. Let's figure out how we're going to work and thrive and survive in this system. Second thing is, you don't have the authority to enact these promotions and raises or make these types of changes, even if it's firing somebody, but you still have to be an advocate for your people. I really believe that the first priority of any manager, I don't care what level you're at, is to first and foremost be a strong advocate for your people. If you really believe somebody deserves a promotion, whether it's just a pay grade bump, or maybe it's getting a promotion to another position, or simply you're just looking to help them out and give them more than a cost of living increase raise, the first thing you need to do is fight for them. And in doing that, lay out all the reasons why that person deserves this. They're obviously going to help you in that process. But if you really believe that there's somebody worthy of that, be ready to take all those reasons and the discussion that you've had with that subordinate, and be ready to fight for that up the chain of command. You may not be able to do that with everybody on your team. You're going to have to pick and choose your battles. But that's really the first thing you got to do, is once you've identified the true obstacles within your system, now you have to, accept the fact that you are the advocate. You have to fight for these people and make it happen. So now let's assume that your company has an HR department that's outsourced. They're a third-party company, and they're going to make a lot of the decisions. Maybe the ultimate decisions are made several layers up the chain of command, and then are pushed out to this HR department with some guidance. There's still a lot of things you can do to help advocate for your people. You got to get creative, think outside the box. One of the things that I know, I've had some good managers in the past, and one of the things that they would do is that they knew if a particular person was worthy of promotion or a pay raise, and let's say we had a VIP, an executive of some sort, or a top marketing person or whoever coming into town who was going to work in our area. One of the things that manager would do is basically assign that person to go work with their employee who they really felt deserved that promotion, that raise, and they would help them out, get them prepared for the day. But basically the best thing they were doing is putting those two people together. They were putting their subordinate in front of that senior person of influence. They may not be a vice president, let's say, that's a chief decision maker, but they perhaps are in a position of influence. And let's face it, you get your people in front of the right people upstairs, during executive meetings, and they start talking. The next thing you know, they're saying, "Hey, I worked with Jeremy, or I worked with John or Susan or whoever," and those people really have their stuff together and they really know what they're doing. Or hey, these people out in this zone feel really dedicated, and management talks highly of them. These are people I think we should keep our eye on. So, helping your subordinates get in front of the key decision makers is certainly a really good way to help them advance. So something else I think that can be a factor here is how your company rates all of the employees' performances. I know in the military, a lot of the officers get rated against their peers. So let's say at a battalion level, that battalion officer is going to rate all of his or her company commanders against each other. So, and you get quotas or you get limits, if you will, on the ratings you can give. So if, let's say, a 1 rating is your highest rating you can give your team, your corporate policy may be, or your HR department may tell you, on a team of 10 to 12 people, you can only give out 2 ratings of number 1. And then you can give out, let's say, 4 ratings of number 2 and X amount of 3s and so on. You got to go back to the first point, which is knowing the system you exist in. Make sure your people understand that system and know that unfortunately not everybody is going to get a number 1 ranking. And that really sucks when you have a team of high performers and everyone's achieving their goals, everyone's meeting their quotas and working hard and working overtime. It's the system we live and die in, and it sucks, but it's a system nonetheless. And I think you can fight the system all you want, but at the time when it comes to put in evaluations for people and looking for raises and promotions, that's not the time to fight that system. So save that for the rest of the year, okay? But for now, figuring out how to get your people to work in that system and get the most out of the evaluations and the ratings for your people, you just have to bite the bullet and start ranking them. If you've got 10 people on your team, well, okay, you're probably going to have 1 or 2 really top performers. And you just think if you rank all your people according to, do they meet their goals? How do they perform? How are they personable? How do they communicate? Everything, that's, I think, that helps you make it easy as far as figuring out how to give these ratings. The other thing is just be honest with your people at the beginning of the year. If you don't discuss it with them throughout the year, if you don't kind of give them an idea where they're at, that makes that end of the year that much harder. So to kind of sum it up, I think first and foremost, identify the system that you're in, identify, the hurdles you're going to be faced with. If HR is outsourced, just identify what you're going to be up against when trying to get a promotion or raise for your subordinates when they deserve it. Second of all, really embrace the idea of being that advocate for your people. Thirdly, get outside the box, get creative, think of ways to get your people in front of those decision makers, those people that have those opinions or have the ability to have say as far as what rating they get or what promotion they get or a pay raise. And lastly, don't try to change things overnight. Just remember that, you were in their position once, you fought to get to the top, and as you climb your ladder, remember there are things that you can change what you can, advocate for bigger change, but always remember your people come first. And hopefully that will get you to a point where you feel comfortable like you've done right by them when it comes to raises and promotions. Thank you.